Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you a tutorial on how to change the power on most of the modded cars on Assetto Corsa, and today we're going to be looking specifically at this VX220. This is the normally aspirated version. So what we've got up here guys is Content Manager, and as you can see here we've got the VX220 on the list. Now I've actually got three different VX220s here, two are separate models and one is the Turbo. First thing to do is to find Assetto Corsa under your Steam library, Steam apps and Common, and there it is. So double clicking on there, you will see you've got a number of folders that you can choose. Now the one that we want to choose is actually the content folder, so double clicking on there, you will see there is a cars folder. Again, double clicking on there, you will see there's a long list of all the folders that hold the configuration information for Assetto Corsa cars. Now, not all cars can be modded in this way. The first car I'm showing you is the BMW 1M, and as you can see, this has a data.acd file, but it doesn't have a data folder. It's only the cars with a data folder that you can actually mod in this way. I'll cover that problem in another video. On this one, we are going to choose the Vauxhall VX220, and as you can see I've got the different models here, but the one that we're going to actually change is this 5_1. The first thing to do then is to create a copy of that folder, and this is just to make sure, because we're making some changes in some configurations, that you've always got your original one there. Now because we've created that copy, we've actually got a new VX220 here. Now I'm going to colour it red so we know which one it is, but you can see it's got the little green dot next to it. So the black one is the original, this red one is the copy we've just made. Now you can see the power and torque curves here are exactly the same, but what we're going to actually do here is change the power on this red VX220. Now going into the copied folder here, you can see that we have a data folder. Now any car with a data folder, you can do this technique. There's two areas that we're going to be looking at here, the engine and then the power. So just let me talk you through the engine one first. Now to open these, you need to right click actually on the folder and open with, and we're going to open all of these with Notepad. That will just give us access to the configuration file. Now that we have the config file open on this VX220, you can see there are a number of areas that we can change, and the ones that I'm going to point out here are the rev limiter and also the rev range, and there's also a torque setting there as well. At the bottom there is also a damage modifier on what happens if revs hit a certain level. Now there's also a piece here about turbo adjustment, and as you can see it's at 0.0 at the moment, and in another video I am going to show you how to add turbos onto any car that you can mod in Assetto Corsa. So let's just come out of there because we're not going to change anything in there for this video, but what we are going to do is change the way that the power curve works on this. So again, we're going to go to this power, we're going to open it with Notepad, and what you'll do here is get a scale of all the different power outputs at different parts of the rev range, and what we're going to do is we're going to adjust this. Now I fancy this normally aspirated VX220. As you can see, it's got quite a steady curve. What I want to do is put basically a fake VTEC in there. So at 5,000 revs here, 5,000 RPM, I'm going to actually start to change the power quite significantly. So what this is going to do is going to make the car act like it's got a second cam coming in, or a VTEC, or even some form of late turbo. So as I put these numbers up over 5,000 revs, and you can see that I'm not making any of these the same figure, I'm actually gradiating them up and then back down again. This will give us effectively a kick in brake horsepower at the end of the rev range. Now we do have to be careful with this, just as I go through putting these other values in that if you change the power too early on in the rev range, the car will actually become unusable. So if you imagine some of the cars that you've driven on Assetto Corsa that have got massive bhp or massive torque right at the beginning of the rev range, they become very difficult not to wheel spin and to get traction. So let's file and save that. Now I've changed those. Now that we've saved that file, there are a couple of other quick config pieces we need to do. So I'm just going to come back out of there, and you can see that was all under the copy VX220. Now as you can see at the moment, the curve actually hasn't changed from the standard VX220. The first thing you must do is click on pack data. That pulls that data back into one place and creates another ACD folder there. Once you've done that, then what you need to do is click on the little three dots here and click on recalculate curves using the new relevant data. So as you can see now, we've got a very different data curve. So instead of curving quite gradually off at the top like the other one, you can see that this one actually carries on quite aggressively upwards. This will give us that kick over 5,000 RPM. Now that we've completed the power changes on the car, the next thing to do is to make the car ready for the game to run it. So this is where Content Manager really comes into its own. So just before we start to run this, we need to do a couple of other configs. As you can see in the bottom right hand corner here, you've got fix car. Now there's a couple of things we need to fix here. The first is that the sound bank needs fixing. This is because this is a copied car and it just needs to know where the sound is. Now the sound actually comes from the Abarth 500 on this mod, so we're just clicking OK to make sure that's right. So if you just do start it and it's got no sound, that's probably the problem. The next piece just to check is fix UI. This accounts for transmission loss between the actual power the engine makes and what's going to get down to the wheels. Now normally anything between 10 to 15% is what you need to have on there. So click on close. Okay then, so that is the car actually ready. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare this car to the standard black VX220 and just do a quick quarter of a mile on this great airfield track that I actually had in one of my other mod track videos recently. So here is the black standard VX220, normally aspirated, just over 140 brake horsepower. For this quick gameplay I am just using the keyboard, so don't worry about the steering wheel flicking left and right quickly, that's just me on the keyboard. So what I want you to do on this is the standard normally aspirated version, the standard model. I just want you to check how it actually revs and also what speed it gets up to on this quick quarter of a mile. So I'm going to stop, rev to 3,000 or 4,000 revs, dropping it into first. Let's go, let's see what the normally aspirated VX220 drives like. So I used to actually own one of these cars about 5 or 6 years ago, and I can tell you even this version is no slouch. 0 to 60 is about 5.5 seconds. They weigh hardly anything. Now what we're looking for is the kilometers per hour on the right hand dial. So 160, 170, just under 180 as we go under the suspended aeroplane, and at the end of the straight we're getting to just under 190 kilometers per hour. That is a pretty quick car, and guys, if you ever get a chance to drive one of these based on the Mark 1 Lotus Elise, do grab that opportunity. Fantastic cars to drive. Here we are then in our modified red VX220, so exactly the same car. We've just modified the brake horsepower on it, and we've modified when that brake horsepower actually comes in, and this should have anything between 60 and 70 more at the wheels as we go up this straight. Now just keep an eye on that rev counter again, and as you can see, over 5,000 revs it goes very quickly upwards. So we're going to do the same again. We're going to drop down here, drop it into neutral, rev to 3,000 to 4,000 revs, and then again we're going to drop it in first and see what we do. Now straight away there you can see over 5,000 revs, it really has got some pull, and for D-Max who's watching this would be great on your motion rig. So we're climbing up, now we got to just over 180, no, so we are getting 190 as we went under the suspended plane, and top speed well over 210 kilometers per hour. So that's a significant difference we've made on this car, even with that quick mod. The car is still really drivable though, as you'll see with some of the gameplay on this video, and that's what makes this so much fun. You can change your favourite car how you want to get it to drive how you want it to drive. I will also be dropping some new videos out, guys, after this on how to manage the ACD files and mod those, and also how to easily add a turbo to any car within the game. I hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it helps you mod Assetto Corsa how you want it to be. Do remember, guys, if it's your first time here, you like the video and the channel, click on that subscribe button. It really helps me to grow the channel. See you soon, guys.